What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Birds of Prey's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Cang Toys Divebomb. This is on loan to me from Joel W. Shout out to him. I appreciate the opportunity. We're gonna take a look at this guy. There's a lot to talk about. I have a lot to say about it specifically. We're gonna go through all the modes, including the shield mode and the arm mode, of course Hawk mode, but in order to get there, we gotta talk about accessories. You get two guns, one for each of you, and they are connected in the center if you'd like them to be, which I'm sure does something somewhere for someone. But let's just look at one. So, yeah, I mean, they look nice. They're silver paint. They look a little stunted to me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like a little like it seems like it should be longer, so to speak. But I'll tell you that that's probably just because this is intended to look a certain way when it's combined with the others. And since it's not, would be my guess. This is like a little thing here, like a little side handle bit. Like it might play into the combine mode as well. You can have it anywhere you want it, but I'm gonna see if I can get him to kind of hold it, you know, with both. Silver paint looks fantastic. Tampo paint looks good throughout, kind of as usual. Just kind of a goofy looking sculpt to me. That's a subjective thing. So if you like the way it looks, you win. He can hold those either by going, you know, over the hand or under the hand based on your preference. If you go over the hand, you do have to move this silver plate just a little bit for clearance, and then once you can put it back in. Once you got it, you can put it back into position. And then I just said you can hold it, and then what do? Knock it straight out of his hand. But you saw it. You know what I mean? What do I got to prove? Why am I still not cutting the video and moving on to the next thing? Because I'm stubborn is why. There it is. In bird mode, on the wings, there is a small port. If you follow the silver bit down to the bottom of the wing, and you can plug the guns in there on top of the wing or underneath, depending on your preference. He comes with a sword. I believe it's identical to the other one that we saw because they're going to probably go together in some way, shape, or form. We have the translucent teeth here. We have the silver paint. And then we have the orange. And it's fine. It's not my favorite in design, but it's fine. He'll hold that in his hand just fine, the same way that he holds the gun. That is to say, tab in the palm, going through a slot in the weapon. He comes with two wings. Now these come in the box all sort of folded up and contorted, but if you just start to spread them out, you'll begin to see them in terms of how they're supposed to look. They're painted beautifully, like most of this, so it's two shades of red here, and then the silver. You have the Tampo paint on top. The same goes for here. We have gold and silver, or should I say silver and gold, and it's in there, and it looks good, and the whole thing looks good. And I'll show you how to put this on, and then we'll talk about the articulation of it, but it is a very impressive wing. You know, I got a wing, and here it is, and it is very nice. You get two of them. Also on the wings, these pieces can come out and become separate swords, and he'll hold those just fine. Now, the ones that were the guns, you can point them a little bit, but you can't get the 90-degree angle, so you could probably fake it to make it look like a gun, but it doesn't necessarily look like one naturally. So you just find this little tooth there, and then you take the wing, you can see where the notch is, and slide it down. It's a tight fit. A lot of this stuff is tight, so just be careful. So there it is, and it's pretty impressive, and there's a number of different things that you can do with it, which we will go through here briefly. I'm not going to keep these on for most of the review because it's just going to get in the way and make it more frustrating and not really do a whole lot for you in order or regard to whether or not you make a decision to buy it. But the top pieces here spin this way and come down. That can be like a cannon. Then you have this set of wings. Each one of these articulates independently. And then they all articulate on this gray piece. You have this feather down here. That will articulate independently. And then it swings at the back, and it rotates on a swivel at the back. Squeaky, squeaky, squeaky joints. So probably a bit too tight. I'll be honest, just to get this out of the way, because it's going to come up a few times. There's a number of places on this that is either too tight or not tight enough. And we will talk about them as we go through. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. You do have these flaps here. But I think, oh, and then this also, it rotates here ratcheted so you can have a double hinge, but really you don't need it. The single will do fine. I said the single will do fine. But yeah, overall, I mean, they work great. It's very impressive wingspan. It makes me, or reminds me, I guess, more so, it makes them very back heavy too. It reminds me more so of PlayArt's Kai Hawkman. If you've ever had the pleasure, it's a beautiful figure, but it has a very similar wingspan. Maybe I'll show it to you, right, Chong? A little dark, I know, but you know, an impressive wingspan. It's hard to get a point of reference, but that's a huge shelf, and he takes up most of it with the wings. But that's not the only thing that the bird guy can do wing-wise. He can also form a little, like, a shield. Let's go ahead and go through those steps. So let's try to get these pieces out. So the first thing that you want to do is they're tabbed in together. Break that connection, and then, God bless, slide them up. Good night. It's just, dude, there's some tolerance issues, there's some clearance issues. We're gonna talk about it, but let's see what else we got. Let's see if we can get this one out. There. Okay, that one went a little bit better. Let's move on. So this is what it looks like coming right out of his back. And what we're going to do is bring this piece, God bless it. You got to get this piece down so that it's facing it's going down, and the little vented pieces are going up. And then you got to get this piece that slides into his back out to the side. And that's, oh God, this stuff, man. There. And then you want to kind of have that at an angle. So I'll go ahead and get the other one ready as well. Instead of sliding it up and down the way it was, you use this groove and slide it in from the top down, but facing out to the back on both sides. For the wings, all you want to do is rotate it so that this notch here that goes towards the feathers moves 90 degrees down, and this wing is kind of facing outward to the rest of the feathers, and then you just sort of bend it in half. Do that to both, and then you just insert the wing back on to the way it was, basically, but now it's just at a different angle. That fell off. All right, so there's one, and here's the other, and I'll clean it up real quick and take a look at it. And then you kind of get this look, and these top feathers here, you can make them into guns. You can have them out to the side. You can do whatever you want. I don't know, man. E for effort, I suppose. It's a thing. You can do it if you'd like. I'm not sure it's worth the cost of entry, but it's up to you. And he comes with the combiner hand. It's just like the other one we took a look at, and it forms the other half of the crab. If you want to know how to do that, watch the other video, and then you can just marry them together and make your little crab. I don't have the other one handy to take a look at, so we won't be doing that here. But the hand does feel great. It feels stable. Feels like big, strong hands. And we have silver paint here. We have the die cast piece here. Like, it's nice, you know. And it's identical to the other one, right? Because it was just where the ball peg notched in and then came up. So, you know, there's all of this comes out and about. You recall? Yeah, you recall. So yeah, it's fine. And then in combine mode, you can take it and basically slide it like on a T joint, and once you have it on, it's hard as a rock. It's solid. So let's take a look at the figure. So there's the head sculpt. Let me just get this arm out of the way. Look, it's fine. It's stylized. It's super stylized. Probably the most stylized version of this character we've ever seen. And it's objectively good looking. However, it doesn't, I don't know, man, it doesn't look complete to me. And there's a number of different looks you can have this head. You can have feathers out, feathers in. You can have the bird head kind of up and aimed at the back like this. You can have this little thing up and you know, and try to combine it there, but it never quite looks right. Or it never quite looks like Divebomb, I should say. Light piping, which is completely absurd, stupid choice. And the reason why it's stupid is because, for one, the helmet of the Hawk completely hides it, so the light doesn't get through it in the first place, so it always looks dead. Secondly, it's a masterpiece figure. Light piping has no place in a masterpiece figure, in my opinion, and it ends up cheapening the whole look, so not good. Face is painted silver, and it's a good sculpt. The bird head, we had the paint on the black, it's like a metallic, and then we also have a gold paint, obviously, and then we had the Tampo paint on top, plus the red translucent throughout. You can have this here, however you like it. Now, articulation-wise, the head is on a ball peg. Now, I'll also tell you, this piece here, it has a tendency to get caught up and not sit 100% flush. There's a little ridge in there. You can kind of see it just below the circle ratchet. It has a tendency to get caught up. It will move. Oh, now I'm caught up. If you adjust it, or stick your finger in there, so to speak, you can adjust the system inside of the head, which will sort it around it. All right. The head is on a ball peg. I would just get the bird head out of the way if you want to go to articulate this thing. You can get up. You have to move the back fin. You can get down a good bit. You can get side to side and confuse bird look, and you just sort of have to sort the helmet around it. I don't like this design one bit. I don't like it one bit. I don't like it stylistically, and I don't like it functionally on the figure. I don't like how it works at all. So if you do, more power to you. I don't. All right, let's move on. So we have a waist swivel. While we're here, let's talk about the beautiful paint, and it is beautiful. This yellow is striking. Maybe the best yellow painted figure I've ever seen in my life in terms of that yellow, but it's striking. Tampo paint throughout, gold, silver, metallic, flecked black, or dark gray perhaps. And, oh, and then you get an ab crunch. If you lift up here, it's the elbow joint for the combine mode, and then you bend over, so to speak, you get the ab crunch. So throws off the proportions a bit. See, and then it just knocked it out. Don't like it. But you know, when you have them crouched over, you're not going to notice. All right, so the arms, as you can see, you do get a reverse butterfly. Also, this peg has a tendency to work itself out as you're manipulating the figure, which I'm not crazy about either. Just as a heads up, it does have a tendency to happen. You can do all sorts of stuff here. You have these that are independently articulated, and then you have the shoulder pads themselves. So whatever kind of configuration you like the most, you can sort of make happen, because you can get them up at an angle and sit those down, whatever you want to do. For articulation, we're just going to move them about freely. Same deco continues throughout. So ratcheted shoulder, past 90 degrees, so no issues there. The shoulder pad will obviously move independently. Ratcheted around as well, so no issues there. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbow for the full run. That's a die cast joint in there. And then you have this elbow piece here. Unfortunately, it doesn't cover down on the joint much, but you can cover back on it. So at least it's something. All right. Same deco continues here. Wrist swivel. Thumb is on a ball peg, and secondary, for primary hinge, secondary hinge. Fingers are on a primary hinge at the base, and then a secondary hinge for the fingers, and it works well enough, and you don't have typewriter fingers as a result, so I dig that an awful lot. Wrist swivel, did I mention that? If not, there you have it. Same for the other side. Now, hips. So, as you can see, this has come unplugged again. It has a tendency to do so. It doesn't stay stuck in. All right. Hips. They don't lie, for one. They're on ball pegs here. The hip skirts here. And then you can shake his tail feather up. We have ratcheted universals for hips. Squeaky. A soft ratchet gets you out to there, so almost the full Van Damme. More than you would need, probably. Forward and back for the full Monty. And I'm going to go ahead and cut so we can get past my heater kicking on. All right, also brilliant paint, once again, on the pelvis with the same sort of deco. Moving on to the thighs themselves, you do have a thigh swivel, red metallic paint, and like an orange metallic paint. The knees are also die cast, and they are double hinged, and then you have an additional hinge, like at the lower side. Like if the knee, you get the full run, right? But if you use all the joints, the knee is literally like this amount of takes up that amount of space. It's not necessarily intended as part of the knee. It's an extended knee. So, but you do, utilizing them, you can get the full run. And without it, you can get 90 degrees. So it's ultimately fine either way. All right, moving on to the lower leg. You do have these feathers here that you can pose out to the side, however you so desire. And you have same sort of deco here with the grays, the silvers, yellows, etc. Same with the oranges and reds down at the bottom. Then you had the, so you get an ankle tilt up, an ankle tilt down. You had the toes, which do spread out. And then they also each claw hinges. And then you have the rear heel, which you can also utilize, which is good because he does put some weight on that back, so to speak. And there he is from the back, you know, obviously minus the wings. You know, we'll talk about it. Size comparison-wise, let's take this in for a bit, so to speak. So there he is, standing there in the center, front and center, old Birdo himself. There's Fans Toys drag strip coming in at about mid-bicep. The same for the Seeker. We have Unique Toys, Brawl, I get them confused, Brawl, I think, coming in at the upper elbow. Toy Worlds, Constructor coming in at the upper elbow too, just about. And even the Fans Toys, oh, good grief. Even the Fans Toys Silverbolt is not quite as tall as the limb from this guy. Now, I am a fan of Predaking being the biggest combiner, so I still am okay with this size-wise if the combiner ends up looking okay, which, I got news for you, ladies and gents, we still haven't seen. Still a mystery. So, more on that later, but there he is size-wise. He's huge. So let's get him transformed. Open up this little section here, flip the hand in, close that back up. Same for the other side. Now, on the back, you got to get these pieces out and about. So, it's next to impossible because of the tolerances, especially of one. But if you leave it pegged in, it'll give you a little bit of leverage. Listen to this. Listen to it scream. It's crazy. It's terrible. Oh, it doesn't feel good at all. Also, untab the arms and move them around. This will allow you to get this piece fully towards the front. So, we'll untab this arm also, just like we talked about on that reverse butterfly. Spin this down to the bottom. Oh my god, dude. See, it comes with bird effects. You didn't know? God bless America, bro. Okay. Then spin this up. And as you can see, hopefully, this tab here locks in up there. And then rotate the arm up. And we'll stop there. So this tab, once again, down here, coming up. And locking in there. Let's spin this arm around though. We forgot to spin the arm. So make sure that the arm is spun so that the forearm is going to sit at the top of the animal. And then just plug her in. You can now finally pull all this armature out. You want to spin the head around so that it forms the bottom of the bird head. And then you bring these down, bring your forearms around, and they will tab in this peg or notch right here to this peg. So hold on one second. And same on this side. But if you see, we'll take these pieces up here, and then these two notches have to grab a hold of the side parts of the armature of the neck. And I might need to mess with it just to make sure that I have everything plugged in right. But you can see where they go, and then this sits in behind it. Let's get to this leg. And chances are it will have come untabbed anyway, just while you've been messing with it. If that's not the case, then untab it. It tabs in right here, just untab it. And then you spin out this leg. We've done this pretty much with all of their releases so far. And get it pointing at the sky. And then this is going to come around and capture. And then you want to bring this piece, which will sit right in this little ridged area here, and it's just a matter of making sure that you got it lined up right on this double joint here. Bring that around, plug it back in. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Open up, get this little wing out of the way, get that out, spin, and then rotate. And on the underside here is the best way to kind of tell if you have it right, because you need it to sit. Dude, I am super frustrated with the tolerance of this. I'm gonna try not to break your stuff, Joel. But yep. There. Tuck the leg around and tab it back in. Then on the back, you pull this section of the tail out and you can start to open up these. There's a lot of like wings that need to be opened up. And then basically you want these two yellow parts to fit between the two sections here and the orange flap. And then you just have feathers. So you got these feathers here, you have these, and you can open them up. This opens up, and I think those are stuck. Yeah. Same for the other side. Of course, you have these as well, which can be however you'd like them. Same here. You have these feathers here on the front of the head. So you just get all those sorted, and I'll go ahead and throw the wings on. We'll clean them up and take a look at them. So there it is. Obviously, the wings articulate the same way. The feet articulate the same way. The head, unfortunately, articulates the same way. And then, is there anything else we need to go over? I guess these claws here, they're the same. The ankle's the same. You still get a little bit of movement. You still get the ab crunch. But I'll tell you, like, the wings are so heavy, and there's not, like, the center balance is a little off, where, like, it's hard to kind of, with his wings out, like, because you can always collapse the wings and have it kind of like, you know, like one of these numbers. Do you know what I mean? But like, who would want to do that, right? You want it to be like kind of like imposing, but it's hard to maintain its balance because he's so heavy here in the front that you kind of need to like brace his weight either on these tail feathers here. The wing feathers can kind of do it. Like if you have it, you know, like that on both sides, you know, but you gotta really mess with it, right? It's unwieldy, right? But that's because of how large it is and because of the wings. But it's pretty, you know, and it's impressive and it's imposing, and you know, it's going to draw your attention. Yeah, I've talked about this on this channel before, but wings always make stuff just grab your eye, and this one is no exception. So there he is. Let me back out a little bit so you can get a little bit of a idea. And of course, there's tiger tracks. So It's a big bird.
All right, with the wings removed, we want to untab the neck piece from the head. Get the arms out of the way. And then rotate them around and put them back basically to where they were. God bless. Excuse me. Pardon me. Coming through. All right, so there's one and then the other. So we're just going to rotate it around. I'm just doing this as if the wings are still here. And then plug it in. Then you want to make sure that your shoulder pad is bent down. You want to take, I'm not sure if you saw that.
Take the arm here and use the double joint and tab the forearm into the shoulder. If you can't get it lined up right, it's a bicep swivel, and then move it to the top and cover down on the elbow. So we'll go ahead and do that one more again, and bring your shoulder pad down, plug your forearm into the shoulder pad, cover down on the joint, plug it back in when it comes on tab 30 times, and rotate this up. You can close those flaps too, the flaps that we used for the to tab the neck in. There you go. Move the combiner port out, and I brought a tool just in case it gave me some problems, which it is. And then the head tucks down into, like, this whole bit here tucks down inside. And remember when I told you that the clearance issues that can cause a problem in there? And then you want this tab on the bottom jaw to lock in to the chest. And then once you have that, then just kind of sort the bird head over top of it. And then we have the lower leg still to deal with. What you're gonna do is open this up and kind of undo what you've done just a little bit. You can do it on both sides if it helps. But you gotta drop down and get your eagle on, and you want that joint sitting there, the knee joint sitting at the top, but you're still backward, right? And then move that leg up and out of the way and connect it here. And we're gonna do that on both sides. So, good night, dude. All right, there. Drop down, get your eagle on, close it up, and that's a start. Then you have this gray armature. You're gonna bring that down. If you do it just right, it should slide right into the gray piece, and then bend this up. As you're bending this up, this red flap here is on a double hinge. If you rotate that down, you should be able to find a happy balancing point where it kind of sits against it. Maybe it is supposed to be up. I'm not exactly sure, honestly. And then close up your claws, and that's one leg done. Now, we're gonna bring this piece out, and we're gonna do the same thing on this side. So drop the gray piece down and the red piece up. I think that's supposed to, oh, you know what? It's probably supposed to sit over top. So bring the claws together. Yeah, that looks about right. Same on this side. So make sure that the red piece sits like that. Curve of it sits kind of over top of the gray piece. Now, this next part I already know is going to cause me a nightmare, and I'm not even going to, maybe I'll try one time, but This orange tab here, these two notches on the side, one goes into that side of the foot and one goes into that side of the foot. Meanwhile, this piece here has to tab in to the side. So collapse this up, and then this has to tab in to the sides of the leg as well. So both have to be done kind of in concert. I have my doubts as to whether or not I'm going to be able to accomplish said task on camera, if at all, honestly. I will give it one quick go. So there is half of it. And then you just want to do the same thing on the other half, and that's not even entirely in there. But, there. So that's inside on that side. Of course, that came out. There. That's what you're looking for. So I don't have it quite right, but it's kind of close enough. So at this point, if you haven't already, and you could do this first. I probably should have done this first. Just take the wings off. Just keep that nice and clean there on the back. And then what else can we do? Extend the waist. And this will lock. I'm not going to do it because I'm so close to being finished with this review and I haven't broken this thing yet. So I'm not going to do it. So then the last thing that you want to do is slide the hand on, which we've already shown. So I'll get it cleaned up. We'll take a look at it. And here we have it. And it's good enough. That wrist is so tight. I'm not going to mess with it. We'll talk about articulation when we get to combine mode. The elbow is not ratcheted. That's going to be a problem. You see that, right? Not good. Not good at all. So that's an issue already. This is very tight, so that shouldn't be a problem. Bicep swivels at both ends, right? Yep. So that shouldn't be a problem. It looks good. You know, this is what I'm hoping for, is a good looking Predaking. So there's the arm, or I guess, yeah. So hope, you know, fingers crossed, but it's fine. And there it is with Tiger Tracks, to give you a bit of an idea. We've already looked at Rampage with the other combiners, so we should already kind of have a rough idea of the arms. My concern is the upper legs, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Final thoughts-wise, let's talk about the negatives. It's not built extremely well. The tolerances vary joint to joint, and some of them are so tight that it's scary. So this tight, or this tight. Extremely tight. On top of that, it's a little frustrating to get some of the things completely lined up. Some things don't stay stuck in properly. Even though he can hold the weapons just fine, as you manipulate the structure because of the joint tolerances, a lot of times the weapons will fall out of his hands. The way that they did the head with the bird head should have been completely rethought. It's frustrating. It's not natural. It's unnatural. It doesn't move smoothly. It's not intuitive in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, it doesn't look like the character, which brings me to my last thing. If you guys know me, then you know that I'm okay with things being stylized, but things need to be stylized and still seem somewhat reminiscent of the character. This thing just seems so off to me. Nothing about it really seems like Divebomb other than the color palette. The Bull and Rampage both take huge visual leaps from the core material, but it still feels like the spirit of those characters. This one, I just feel like falls short of it. This is the nail in the coffin for me being able to use these as robot mode. It's over. My only hope is that this works as combine mode, but I have concerns about that already, namely the proportions. But I'll get into that later, and I'll get into it on Patreon shortly after this video. There are some positives, though. It is beautiful. It's painted beautifully. And whereas the other ones have kind of been a complete nightmare to transform, this one's not. It's also sculpted beautifully. Like, objectively, like, it's a beautiful sculpt. I just feel that maybe they went too far. That maybe they missed the boat on this one. That there is a point out there beyond the horizon where you forget exactly what it is that you're doing and you're just trying to make something beautiful. And you have. But at the cost of what? The accessories are cool. The combine mode arm looks looks super imposing. The wings are beautiful, and every time you have wings, it's always going to look beautiful. And this one's no exception. And as a result, creates a very intimidating and imposing looking bot, but I'm just not sure it's enough. I can't recommend this for robot mode. I'm not sure if I can recommend this for combined mode. My advice currently is to stand by. Unless these things are selling out quick, which I would find surprising, but anything's possible. I'm just not sold on it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.